Just before the holiday deadline, the Columbus Blue Jackets make a trade to add Mason Marchment to their roster. We'll talk about his impact on the team and what it says about where they're going next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And thank you for helping to make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Blue Jackets, Jay Forster. And Jay, were you surprised that the Blue Jackets pulled off a trade for Mason Marchment right before the holiday roster freeze?
I wasn't necessarily surprised that there was a trade. I think that something had to give, right? And at the end of the day, it's a seller's market right now. You have to give up if you want to get something. I was kind of surprised it was Mason Marchment, who wasn't really on my radar as a player that might be available. But like we talked about this a little bit off mic. It is an extremely like cromulent trade, right? Like he is a middle six player that the Blue Jackets could probably use. They have about 74 middle six players already, but don't worry about that. They gave up somebody else's second and somebody else's fourth to get him. I believe it was Minnesota's second that we got in the David Jiricek trade, and it would have been the 4th round pick as belonged to the New York Rangers from the Jack Roslovic trade from a couple of years ago. So in theory, they gave up nothing for this player, right? And I know that's not how draft picks work, and I know that's not how trades work, but this is a player that has some value. He made his debut on Saturday night. I liked it. He was one of like 4 Blue Jackets that actually made an effort the entire game, which I loved. Scored a goal, which was great. Had one of the more disgusting and cursed celebrations to a goal I've ever seen, where he got so excited his gum fell out of his mouth, and then he picked it up and put it back in. So, it's bad to think about, but I like someone, one of my wonderful everydayers actually was like, listen, sometimes teams need a freak in the mix to kind of get things going, and the Blue Jackets don't really have a freak in the mix right now. So, hey, maybe Marchment is that guy, but surprised by the trade, but also not surprised at the same time. Like I said, something had to give. They're not firing the coach. That's been a big thing in Blue Jackets land recently. They're not firing the GM. That's also been a big thing in Blue Jackets land recently. They're not trading any of the underperforming players because the value is so low right now. Some of them have unmovable contracts. Like the only way that something was going to change was if they brought in a new body. And frankly, I'd rather pay this cost for Mason Marchment than pay what is going to be exponentially more for someone like Kiefer Sherwood, who does kind of do Mason Marchment's job a little bit better, but is probably going to cost like a 1st round pick plus. So get the value version of him. Hope it fixes things. Things are still kind of rough in Blue Jackets land, but I don't hate the trade. I think the trade is about as promising as a trade could be right now.
Where do you see Marchment fitting into the lineup, and who do you think benefits most from his addition?
So he played on Saturday night with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson, and I really liked that line. I thought they were a strong line. Again, Marchment scored a goal on that line. I thought they were one of the lines that showed up for most of the game. Had some rough spots, but like so does everyone on the Blue Jackets that's not named Zach Werenski right now. So, and we'll talk about him in a second, But long term, I think middle six guy. I don't think he's a top line talent. I could see him fitting in on the second line. I don't really know off the top of my head what the ice time distribution was in the game to know what was considered the first line, second line in air quotes. But yeah, I think if you can get him producing on a second line and playing like 17 minutes a night. I said on, I think, Saturday morning's episode of Locked On Blue Jackets, I said something along the lines of like, if you can get 12 goals out of Mason Marchment through the rest of the season, less if you flip him at the deadline, but if you keep him till the end of the year and you get 12, maybe 15 goals out of Mason Marchment, that feels great to me.
Little scare in the game on Saturday with Zach Werenski. What happened and what is his status?
God. So yeah, every single person, I think, in the city of Columbus, in the state of Ohio, just like felt a shiver and didn't really know why. Zach Werenski blocked a shot very late in the game against the Ducks. Weirdly, the game previous to that, so which would have been, I think, Thursday's game against the Minnesota Wild, he ended up blocking a shot on the first shift of that game, left, went to the locker room, came back, didn't miss a shift. Went to the locker room at the beginning of the second period as well after taking a slash from another player, missed, I think, a shift, and then came back. So everyone was kind of a little bit wary of everything there, but it seemed like everything was fine. And then the next game, there's like 2.5 minutes left in the game. Werenski blocks a shot, goes down, like can't stand up, has to crawl to the bench, has to get like Elvis Mozeliak into the goalie, has to basically push him halfway to the bench because he can't get there. And we can talk all day about the state of the officiating in this game and why the Blue Jackets got a too many men penalty for that and why the puck wasn't blown dead, despite the fact that the Blue Jackets had possession, etc., etc., etc. This team has been carried by Zach Werenski for a lot of the season. I believe as of the time of recording this, he has 40 points in 34 games, which I believe is tied for the lead in the league lead among defensemen. He is leading the team in scoring, I think, by 14 points as a defenseman, which is super fine and normal in terms of the forward scoring rate, right? He has been the heart and soul of this team. He was incredible for them last season, finished second in Norris voting. Frankly, was putting in a Hart Trophy level performance for the Blue Jackets this season, even as they continue to spiral, right? If they don't have Zach Werenski on this team, I really, really don't even want to think about what this team is going to look like. I think of the last 8 goals the Blue Jackets have scored, and my math might be slightly wrong on that, but the last 8, maybe 9 goals the Blue Jackets have scored, Zach Werenski has scored 4 of them, or 5 of them, excuse me. You know, like he has been leading the way. He was the one that spoke to the media after the meltdown against Minnesota, where he was like the angriest that I think I've ever seen him in terms of this team underperforming right now. Like, this team needs Zach Werenski. He's listed as day-to-day right now, so I don't know whether that means he's going to miss Monday's game against the Kings, maybe, and then I think they get a full 5 days off before they come back. So, like, obviously that's, if he's going to miss a little bit of time to heal up, like, this is pretty, you know, knock on wood, good time to do that. But yeah, there was he blocked a shot, and my immediate thought was like, oh, that's a broken foot. That's 4 to 6 weeks minimum. More if it's an ankle, more if it needs surgery, right? Like, there was a world where Zach Werenski's done for the season. And knock on wood, seems like he's mostly fine. I don't know what happened, whether it was just his foot has swelled up real bad from the shot, but no broken bones, officially day-to-day. Could have been so much worse.
So biting the bullet there, getting could have been a lot worse. And timing, again, as you said, with the holiday break coming up, maybe minimizing the amount of time that Werenski is out. Jay, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yes, you can find Locked On Blue Jackets wherever you get Locked On NHL. We are over on YouTube. We are on every podcast platform. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter. You can find us at LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. We're also over on TikTok if you are a TikTok person. And you can find me on Blue Sky over at JAKOBFORSTER.
All right. Jay, thanks so much and happy holidays to you.
Thanks for having me. You too.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you could place bets as the action unfolds, so every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment means even more. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And I love that you could bet next touchdown scorers, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.